Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jaydah and I create content about lifestyle, travel and business. In today's video we're going to be talking a lot about travel. So I recently came back to the UK from Jamaica and I had a wonderful time. At the moment Jamaica is actually having a hard time with the pandemic. I just wanted to take a moment to actually send my love to everyone back home, everyone that's still going through the lockdowns. I just wanted to let you guys know that now is the time that you actually need to prioritize your mental health and go and get the help if you feel like you need the help. But I actually had a subscriber that reached out to me and asked me if I could just go over all of the quarantine restrictions as to what happens when you arrive back into the UK, and also just to talk a bit about the process as to how I found it heading from the UK to Jamaica and back, and how I dealt with everything in terms of COVID restrictions, how I handled the PCR test, the day 2, day 8, all of that kind of jazz. We're just gonna go through it all in this video now. So let's go through all the sections, right? I'm going to talk to you guys from when you first book your flight to when you actually arrive on the island, and then when you're about to return to the UK. Obviously the UK now has a traffic light system. We have the red, the amber and the green. So if the country is in red, you know you can't go to the UK right now unless you plan to pay the quarantine fee for the quarantine hotel. If it's in amber, you can go to the country, but obviously you must also check the travel restrictions for that specific country. So for Jamaica, I was actually required to do a authorization form, which you can find on the government's website. I'll have the link to everything that I mentioned in the description box below. So I needed to do a travel authorization form, which essentially is just a form that will ask you for all of your details, where you're staying on the island, how long you're staying there. If you have any other quarantine address, it will obviously highlight that you need to quarantine, and there is a time limit in which there is a time restriction in which you're actually allowed to complete the form. So make sure that you're not doing it too early before your flight or too late where you may not get a response in time for your flight. So look at the time restrictions for that. Also, with going to Jamaica, the rules very much vary based on whether you are fully vaccinated or if you're not fully vaccinated. So for me personally, I wasn't actually vaccinated and I was required to quarantine at home for 10 days. It was usually 14 days, but now I think they cut it down to 10 days. Not quite sure if that's a long-standing rule or it changes based on how Jamaica is handling the pandemic. So as I've said before, it's always good to go ahead and check the government website, because as we know, the pandemic is ever changing and so are the travel rules to follow that guideline. So make sure that you're checking out Jamaica's website. Also, when you are entering Jamaica, you need to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arriving on the island. You must have a negative COVID test. Also, with leaving the UK, you will need to book your COVID test before you actually leave the UK to go to Jamaica, right? And that's where it gets very tricky, because if you book your COVID test too early, then the 72 hours may lapse while you're in the air, and if you book it too late, you may not get your results for your flight. So you have to be very careful when you're booking your COVID test or your PCR test when you're actually departing from the UK or any place. Well, speaking about UK now, so I go just focus on the UK. If you live in the UK, you have to be very careful with your COVID test. I've known numerous people, including myself, that's had to rebook COVID tests because either the results aren't here on time, or I book it a day too early, and you know it will actually lapse over the 72 hours and actually won't be able to board the flight. So make sure you have your COVID test when you're also arriving on the island. And once you get to the island, once you get to Jamaica at the airport, they're going to go through the entire quarantine restrictions. With Jamaica, with traveling there, they actually have different categories that they place you in as an arrival, you the individual. You can be classed in the business category. So if you're in that category, you can actually pay. You can pay to come out of quarantine and deal with your business and go back into quarantine, but essentially you do have a break to come out of the quarantine period if that's what you are going down to Jamaica to do. But obviously all of these details is what you will fill out on the passenger. All of these details is what you'll be filling out on your authorization form, and you actually need that form before you can actually go to Jamaica, because that form will let you know if yes, you're approved and you can go to Jamaica, or no, you're not approved, you can't actually go to Jamaica right now. So that form is one of the most important things you can do before you actually arrive on the island. Cool. So back to the categories now. So other than business traveler, you can also go to say you're visiting friends and family. In that instance, obviously you're going to provide your family's address, and you're going to have to sign to say that you will be self-isolating for X number of days until your quarantine actually breaks. At the moment, when I was on the island, no one actually came to the house to look for me. I don't know if they do that on random selection, but I actually didn't get selected for that phase. And then the other thing, I don't understand why the color is so dark. The color is a little bit off. I'm making it too bright now. Okay, yeah, that's nice. Okay, so that's with you arriving to Jamaica. So now let's talk a bit about arriving in the UK. So this is where it gets very serious now, girl. So with arriving with the UK, you will need three main things, or I needed three main things. You're going to need a passenger locator form, which you must complete before you even go through check-in at the airport. As in, them now make you push through your bag them and get your boarding pass until you do your passenger locator form. So make sure you do it and do it thoroughly, and make sure it's completed. I made the error of actually starting the form, but I didn't realize that it wasn't completed until I actually got to check-in, and then actually had to come out the line, do the form, go back in the line. It's a whole process. So when you go to the airport, you may find a lot of people coming out the line to actually do the passenger locator form. So make sure that you're not one of these people, because it does mess up your time, and it takes a good amount of time to complete, maybe between 10 to 15 minutes. But you will need to put in data like your address where you're going to be quarantining in the UK, your flight information, the ports that you're departing from. You're going to need your day 2 and day 8 test. You're going to need the exact medical lab that's providing those. Like, it's a whole thing, guys. You have to do it, and it's very serious. So make sure you do your passenger locator form before you even check in or you reach at the airport and you try to do the papers. Whilst we're talking about the passenger locator form, you also have to book a day 2 and a day 8 test if you're not fully vaccinated and you're coming back to the UK. In this occasion, I can only speak on my circumstance, and I can only speak on in this occasion I can only speak for the unvaccinated people, because that's also my circumstance. So that's what we're going to go off. So please just follow me, and if you need additional details, as always, I'll have the government links down in the description box below. So just go ahead and help yourself. It's very, I mean, it's not that simple, man. I like the hard. It's hard to navigate the travel world right now, I can't lie. It's another layer of tests and requirements. It's another layer of laws. It's another layer of money. Very rough right now. Don't travel if you don't absolutely have to, or you need it for your mental health, because boy, rough out there. So let's talk about the day 2 and the day 8 test now. So as you guys know, within the UK at the moment, I'm not quite sure how long this rule will last, but for the moment we have the 3-tier system, which is the red list, amber list, green list, which I spoke about earlier. When you're returning back from an amber list country, which is Jamaica, you actually have to do a day 2 and day 8 test. If you are not paying for a test to release, and I'll explain what that is in a minute, and if you are not fully vaccinated, you have to do this, and you absolutely have to quarantine for the full 10 days. All right, 10 days of quarantine in the UK? Yeah, you have to quarantine for the full 10 days as well. So in terms of booking the test, you have to book your day 2 and day 8 test when you're doing your passenger locator form. I wouldn't advise you to do it separately, because the passenger locator form has exact medical laboratories, I can't pronounce them words about. Where a lot of us get mixed up, or where we get in a trouble at the airport, is when we book the day 2 and day 8 test, but they are not on the government approval list that is on the passenger locator form. That will just be a complete waste of your money. They're going to tell you that you can't use that test. It has to be from the government site. I don't know why, I just don't know what's fucking. So when you do the passenger locator form, make sure that you book a day 2 and a day 8 off that list. Don't do it off no other list but the ones where the government provide. Okay, when you're booking those 2 tests, it will give you a referencing or a barcode or some form of number. Make sure that you keep those numbers close to you, because you will need it to fill out on your passenger locator form. And just in case you get into any obstacle at the airport, you can always show them that, look, I have my day 2 or my day 8 testing done. When it comes to arriving in the UK, they are thoroughly checking that you have your day 2, your day 8 testing, and your passenger locator form from before you even go through check-in. That's before you even reach at England. They might check see you have everything, or you're not gonna board the flight. That's how it go. I'm going to show you guys what the day 2 and the day 8 will look like. Obviously I'm not going to do the demo on the screen because I'm not a medical practitioner and I don't want to show you guys the wrong information, but this is just a quick demo as to what the day 2 and day 8 testing kit will look like. It comes with all the instruction that you actually need to perform the self-swab. That's what I selected, by the way. When you're booking your day 2 and your day 8 test, it comes up with the option as to whether you want to have a self-swab where you actually do your COVID test yourself, or do you want to go into a lab and have it assisted where a nurse does it for you, or if you want to just pop in. They have a lot of options, so just read through and select the one that works best for you. Like I said, it comes with kit instructions, it comes with detailed instructions. I found it quite easy to follow, and also this wasn't my first time doing these tests, so it was actually pretty simple for me. I only got a bit mixed up when it came to the barcoding, because it's so many barcodes. I was just getting a bit started at the end of it all, but this is what it looks like essentially. And then as you can see, my swab is also right here. So what happens is that when you get your day 2, okay, so what normally happens is that when you get a day 2 and a day 8 testing, it will ask you to register the kit. This is very important because you won't actually get a result unless your kit is registered, and you need a kit for registered. So once you get to the UK, wait, did I miss anything? So I said you need a passenger locator. You get to the UK, you go through customs, normal, get your bag, normal. You come home and you have, oh my gosh, the UK is so strict on quarantine, guys. I wouldn't even chance it. Like, no, there is no room for errors in the UK. They called me about 4 out of the 7 days, and they don't call you at a set time. So when you arrive in the UK, if you're not fully vaccinated, you will have to quarantine unless you're paying for the test to release. And the test to release is a government-led scheme which basically allows you to end your quarantine period a bit earlier, but it does require you to still take your COVID test. And as long as your tests are negative, you will be able to end your quarantine, but obviously it's at an extra fee. In my case, I didn't actually opt into this scheme. When you're in the UK, they'll actually give you a full message, a full text that explains the full process of your quarantining, what's expected of you, what's not expected. And like I said, they do have NHS workers that are calling you to make sure that you are at home, and they do have police officers that are just randomly knocking on the doors and checking if you're at home. The phone calls were ad hoc. Some days it's early morning, some days it's after work, some days it's midday, some days it's in the nightish time. Like, you just could have studied them. So quarantine, if you know what, good for you. Let me just change this. Yeah, with your day 2 testing, once you register your details on the medical site, you upload it, you drop off your COVID test to a priority box. That's another thing that you guys must remember. You have to drop off your medical kits to priority boxes, not the usual post office. Make sure it's a priority box, and you can actually check to see where your nearest priority box is by just putting it into the Google search, and you put in your postcode and it will definitely show you where your closest one is. That's where they recommend and actually try to emphasize that you drop them off, just so you can have your results back in a timely manner. Especially if you're doing the test to release, it will give you a lot of notice, just so you can know that you can actually end your quarantine now. And another pointer for you guys is with the day 8 testing, it's also the exact same thing. You have to register the kit, you do your own self-swab, or if you're going into the clinic, you go in the clinic and you have them swab you, and then that's how your details, and then that's how it kind of works. Once you get back all of your negative results, then you end your quarantine, and if you wanted to opt into the test to release scheme, then you would pay your fee. On the 5th day, you take your COVID test. Again, you drop it off at the priority bus. If you're going to the clinic, go into the clinic, and then you get your results, and then you end your quarantine. But yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys as always for supporting me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in into the recent vlogs. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more travel content from me, I've got a whole playlist with all of my travels from Jamaica in 2021, so make sure that you go ahead and have yourself a good time. I also did a staycation this summer in London, so you can go ahead and see some local domestic content if that's what you're into. I have a look at everything, look international, look domestic. So yeah guys, and lastly, don't forget to subscribe. If you are enjoying the videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You watching, girl. I see you watching. Just subscribe. So yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.